We handle and use a lot of materials during our work. Materials we sell and materials that we use to maintain our equipment and facilities. Some of these materials can present hazards to those working with the material, and the company has a program to make sure that you are informed of such hazards. This video program is presented to help educate our employees on our Hazard Communications program. It is most important that every employee understands several things. That you may come into contact with materials that can present a hazard. That the containers of hazardous chemicals are labeled and that they have appropriate hazard warnings. That you must know how to read the container labeling system. That you must know that we maintain a file of safety data sheets which identify the potential hazards of the materials and actions to take if exposed. That you must know where those safety data sheets can be found, and that you must know that the company and you as an individual have an obligation to provide those safety data sheets to any employee, customer, or contractor whenever they ask for one. Let's talk about the container labels first. Throughout Zeeland Lumber and Supply, we have containers that hold chemicals or substances that can be hazardous, adhesives, solvents, petroleum products, lacquers, and other finishes. The container of each product identifies the specific chemical and includes warnings regarding exposure to those chemicals. The labels may warn you that the chemical is poisonous, flammable, or explosive, and may also identify the recommended personal protective equipment that should be used when using the product. Before you use any product, you should read the warning label thoroughly, and you should be sure you understand what chemical you are using and that you know the potential hazards of handling that product. For almost every product that can present some hazard, and this even includes the framing materials we sell because wood dust can be an allergy hazard to some people, we have on file a safety data sheet, often referred to as a SDS. These may be maintained online, or they may be in an organized book. The safety data sheet provides a great deal of information regarding the specific hazards of the material, the possible routes for entry for hazard materials such as absorption through the skin, eye contact, ingestion, or inhalation. The SDS also describes the recommended treatment for a person who has been exposed. Should an employee have a negative reaction to any such substance, the person responding to the person exposed should promptly obtain the SDS for the product and follow the recommendations for treatment. Should the result of the exposure be sufficiently serious that the person needs to be taken to an urgent care facility, a copy of the SDS should be taken and given to the medical personnel who will be treating our employee. That way the physician will know exactly what they are dealing with. OSHA inspectors have an expectation that every employee know where to find a safety data sheet. And should an OSHA inspector come to your facility, they may walk up to an employee and ask him to show him where the safety data sheets can be found. If that happened and the employee doesn't know, it won't go well for us. Your manager or supervisor can show you where those sheets are found. Should a customer or contract employee ask you for a safety data sheet, you have an obligation to give them one. They are not confidential documents. You should provide one to anyone who asks for one. As mentioned earlier, many of the materials we work with or sell do contain chemicals that can be hazardous. Through the labels on the containers or the safety data sheets, the hazardous substance is identified, recommended personnel protective equipment is identified, possible routes of entry are identified, and recommended treatment is identified. Every employee is expected to read all warning labels, ask questions if they're not sure about what they are handling, and to know where they can find the safety data sheets in their work facility. Once you have watched this program, you should talk with your fellow employees and supervisors about the specific products you work with on a regular basis, about the hazards those products could present, and about the best work practices and personal protective equipment you should be using to prevent an injury or illness. You should talk with your supervisor or manager immediately if you don't understand the warnings on a container or if you don't know where the safety data sheets can be found. As with road warning signs, the warnings found on product containers and within the safety data sheets are important for your health and well-being. Heed the warnings and stay safe. Thank you for your attention to this program.